Everyone's favorite, Alanah, the female pirate software, Pearce, admits that she hates America. Let's be real, we all knew that this is probably the case. I'm not even surprised in the slightest. And I just want to say, history has been made. Because most likely, this is the first time that we can for sure say that she's not lying. Sad, but true.
Someone asked me on a stream the other day why Asian countries like Japan aren't facing the same truly insane wave of layoffs that the games industry in Europe and North America have been since 2022. We are over 50,000, by the way. 50.
Gee, I wonder. I really wonder. Maybe because Japan has less of this neat little thing called wokeness?
1,000 people have lost their jobs in an industry that is making record money. If you would like a full breakdown of why we're at 50,000, here is a comprehensive video of why the games industry broadly is in the position that it's in. But when it comes to Asia,
a comprehensive video that makes absolutely no sense.
Specifically, I get why this is confusing, especially because a lot of Western studios, even ones who have faced tremendous layoffs, are owned by Asian companies. Sony is a great example, a Japanese company that recently shut down.
Sony is now pretty much an American company. Their headquarters are in America, their CEOs are slowly turning American. They are no longer a Japanese company. It's just a meme at this point.
Highly beloved studio Bluepoint, who were based in Austin, Texas. Bungie, also owned by Sony, but operating out of Bellevue in Washington, recently lost 300 employees. Riot Games is 100% owned by Chinese mega publisher Tencent. They've laid off just under 100 people this year across the US and Europe. Nintendo has done this.
Actually, it's not 100% owned by Tencent. I'm pretty sure they only own a substantial portion of Riot.
Square Enix did it very recently. It happens across the board. It's happening in other industries too, of course. Giant Japanese pharmaceutical company Takeda Pharmaceutical recently announced plans to cut 4,500 jobs in order to save around 200 billion yen annually. Yay for the stock market. And the employees...
200 billion yen is not actually that much.
...that are being laid off are in Europe. Basically, companies that are headquartered in Asia are still laying people off, just not all that often in Asia. It does also still happen in Asia, to be clear, sometimes. Tencent did just lay up 100 employees from the Shenzhen, China-based studio Timi, I think is pronounced, studio group. Most...
Oh, wow. Do you think they also had jump nets installed for productivity purposes?
Well known for mobile games like Call of Duty Mobile and Honor of Kings, for example. But most of the stories that I feel like I hear out of Asia are like the direct opposite. I'm reading this paragraph from Lewis Gordon at The Verge because they summarized it perfectly. It says, in recent years, Japanese companies and studios such as Sega raised salaries by 33%, Koei Tecmo upped wages by 23%, employees at Persona maker Atlus saw their incomes jump by 15%, and Nintendo gave its employees a 10% raise. Most recently, Capcom increased graduate salaries by 27.7%, describing it as an investment in the people who support the future of the company. And all of this is benefiting people specifically in Japan. So yeah, I get why it's confusing. Why are there so many layoffs in the US and Europe, even at Asian-owned companies, when their Japanese counterparts are getting goddamn raises? The reason for this may shock you. Women. I'm joking. It's
I don't think I have ever laughed at a single joke Alanah has said. I kind of just die inside.
Actually the law and also culture. But let's start with the law, which is honestly really gross, which you'll see when we get into it. But for the purposes of keeping this relatively cohesive, I'm going to largely look at Japan. And as part of that, I did interview Shuhei Yoshida, who is both Japanese and was the president of the SIE Worldwide Studios, as in PlayStation Studios.
The reason she's looking into Japan, not China, is because not that you can't find information on China. It's actually funny and readily available at this point. It's just because she's a communist, so she can't say anything bad about Daddy China. That's pretty much it.
From 2008 to 2019, and two other Japanese games industry professionals who have asked to remain anonymous. The most that I can say is that one is a producer at AAA studio effectively in Japan, and the other worked at Nintendo for many years, but no longer does. And we will hear from them right after this ad break. This message is sponsored by Raycon. It is back to price tag. Come for sponsoring. Now back to the video. So Japan has what it is called a legal doctrine of abusive dismissal, which basically says that unless an employer can actually prove that they are firing someone for one of a few permissible reasons, that firing is considered abusive and is thus invalid and illegal. This is a whole process. The firing company straight up has to provide paperwork regarding whatever misconduct an employee may have committed, and there's a whole bunch of things taken into consideration surrounding this. It is a huge deal. Like, what are the damages caused by the employee's misconduct? Does the employee have a history of misconducting? Or this is just a one-off thing? To what extent did the employee try to correct their behavior after doing their misconducting? Like, it's not just like they do one thing and they get fired. They legally have to be given second chances, effectively, again, depending on the actual work crimes committed. You can't even fire someone for just being bad at their job without proving that you tried to get them a job that they might be better at or training them for a different position. As such, there are many examples of Japanese employees being fired, suing their ex-employers, and winning, and as a result being rehired, which has got to be real awkward. Can you imagine? Other countries producing a lot of games right now, like South Korea and China, are, of course, a little different, legally speaking. They're different countries, but their regulations are ultimately to very similar effect. For example, a Chinese company recently tried to reassign a worker to a different department, and in doing so, cut down their salary. Obviously, because they can't easily fire people, reassignment is the next best bet. Specifically, in this case, though, they were trying to replace that human worker with AI. The Chinese government has officially made it illegal to replace human workers with AI. You can do that in America, though. Fuck yeah, freedom. Comparatively, it's just real easy to fire people here in the US. The US has what they call an at-will employment system, and it's one of the only countries that operates this way in the entire world. It basically means you can be fired at any time for any reason, and that you can quit at any time for any reason. You can be fired.
I mean, we knew that this style is clickbait to a degree, even though it's true. But, man, I mean, what is the point of this video?
In the US, basically because your boss was having a bad day, and they will face zero legal repercussions for this. Turns out Montana is actually the only state in the entire country that doesn't technically operate this way.
Okay, listen. Japan is something that is called a high-trust society. Yeah, that's it. That's it. If you don't understand the implications of any of this, yeah, it is what it is.
Shout out to Montana. The only exceptions to this rule in the US are discrimination-based. You can't be fired based on race, color, religion, sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, or gender identity, national origin, age, if you're 40 or older, disability, and genetic information, including family medical history. You can't be fired for reporting sexual harassment. You can't be fired for whistleblowing, and you can't be fired for union activity. Otherwise, game earned by...
Just a reminder, anyone who does the whistleblowing, America still has absolutely no legal protections for whistleblowers, which is hilarious, to be honest. And the most greatest example, what the fuck is wrong with the colors? What have you done? Anyway, the greatest example of this, how much you should never be a whistleblower in America, is probably that one woman who whistle blew a bank's malpractices about how they broke like a billion safety regulations and things like that. What happened? Well, the bank got to do a fine, which was not even that much, and she lost her job for forever, got blacklisted, and now for 20 plus years she has been relentlessly sued by that bank every single time a lawsuit ends. Pretty good stuff, honestly. Pretty fun stuff. You can Google that. It's not hard to find.
A Japanese company didn't meet sales projections? Cool, let's lay off the Americans, because it is incredibly easy to do so. Get them out of here. There are some protections in place regarding layoffs specifically, but it's just, you must give employees...
I love how none of this is, a cultural thing. None of this is wokeness. None of this is political pandering. This is just like, oh, a game magically, for no reason that we can understand, just performed less than we would have liked or expected, so yeah, let's just fire people for no reason. I love how simplistic this is, because this just does not fit her narrative correctly, so she's not gonna address it. I absolutely love the levels of dishonesty we are peeking at here.
Notice and pay and give them insurance for a specific amount of time. It's genuinely really depressing. It feels like the US and European employees are like stock market fodder for companies headquartered in countries where they aren't.
She's onto something, at least. Now, I'm not gonna go into this because I adore my American audience, and I wish the best for them, so I'm not gonna try and ruin their day for no reason, considering it doesn't impact them.
allowed to treat employees like actual trash. But even Europe, which of course also varies a ton by country, generally has much stronger worker protections than the US. China has actually developed a sort of term for their criticism of US treatment of workers and people in general. You may have heard of this. It's called the kill line. This is a term that originated on Chinese social media. This is so brutal. It kind of refers to a threshold at which a productive middle-class person living in the US is only one single medical, financial, or legal struggle away from irreversible collapse. They posit that most Americans live on this kill line. Most is just one disaster.
That's most of the world everywhere, China included, okay? At least we're not in a situation where you start saying the word square and someone's starting to sweat in China.
Really bad day away from immense debt and potentially homelessness, and this is a result of lack of social security systems or safety nets across the board. The at-will employment system clearly contributes here, and it means that a lot of the rest of the world, including games industry...
So embrace communism. Yeah, Alanah, that's a great idea. How about implementing a system that has not worked? Well, actually, it did work in killing literally hundreds of millions.
Professionals globally, including working in Asia, see the US system as just incredibly brutal. I mean, I personally have terrible insurance that I pay $500 a month out of pocket for, and if I were to get into an accident and lose a limb, I think I would have spent my life savings probably within the first hour of being hospitalized. Like, the ambulance ride itself would wipe out my entire bank account. That's why it's like GoFundMe.
I love how she's obviously lying and trying to resonate with the Americans. I'm not American, but my existence resonates probably better with everyone watching this than this pampered person who has literally not struggled a single time in her life and constantly has just somehow magically fallen upward from one poorly done voice acting job to an even worse done voice acting job into being an actual finally writer. But maybe not really, because IMDb did not want to put her as a writer for some reason in God of War God of War Laufey Lamau. Interesting. I mean, okay, listen. From lie to lie, someone can thrive.
GoFundMe or nothing in the US, really. If you weren't good at socializing in the US, honestly, you're kind of screwed. Like, better hope you have some friends who are willing to write a nice paragraph about you and share a link, my guy. That's how it works here. If not, guess you'll just...
Said the person who has that's a thumbnail. Said the person who has unironically abused that for her entire life and has literally no valuable work ethics other than abuse.
Die. But speaking of fun cultural quirks like dying because you weren't friendly enough, Japan specifically has some fun ways around not being able to legally lay people off. If by fun I mean basically torture, which, you know, at this point, if it's torture or being laid off, considering everything we just spoke about, I'm going with the workplace torture. It's not all sunshine and rainbows in Japan, obviously. They basically just have different means of dealing with these ongoing struggles in the industry. Madogawa is a term that means seats by the windows, where certain employees, whether that is employees that are not performing well professionally or a company is actually looking to downsize, they are literally pushed to seats by windows because it's so difficult to fire people. So I asked Shuhei Yoshida specifically about this because there aren't a ton of official sources on the topic, and he said these employees are given no daily tasks and are encouraged to find new jobs outside the company. They are still paid by the company, so some employees just spend time in the seats doing nothing and collect salaries, but others use this time to find new jobs outside the company. Basically, they try to bore people until they leave. Companies also work around...
You think this is not real, but I actually know of a situation where a person could not be fired, so their desk got put in the hallway, and they never had a single thing to do. In a couple of months, they left. At first, they thought it's great, but I mean, your workplace is in the hallway. Your computer's not connected to power. No one ever gives you an assignment and people scoff at you. That does work.
Around these restrictions by relying more heavily on contractors. It's much easier to cut
Now,
contractors.
granted, that is a story from something like 20 years ago, but I mean, it's a real one. Funny.
being that they could just not renew contracts, same in the US. And even beyond that, a reduction in outsourcing has actually made it look like the workforce has not diminished in Asia because full-time employees have not been affected, but overall jobs actually have. So considering all of this, that they are still attempting various ways to get rid of people in a just significantly more challenging legal system, why is Japan still giving out raises? This ties into Japan's post-war lifetime employment system. When gone back to World War II. After World War II, Japan had to rebuild an economy that had been devastated by war while also rapidly industrializing. So Japanese companies built this model where they recruited workers straight.
I mean, she could have literally named this video anything else, and it would have been probably more accurate than this. But I understand Alanah. She wants to share her feelings about the evil capitalistic country of America. Oh, it's so hard being pampered and never hearing the word no. I understand, Alanah. You are the best. Anyway, Alanah Pearce, friend of the channel, great gal, very smart as we all know. I talk to her daily. She enriches my IQ. It got higher or lower. One of the two, pick one. Anyway, have a nice day. Bye-bye.